our December. Yeah, welcome to our December 2025 or 2024, closing out 2024, getting ready for 2025 Care Coordinator info share with SDS training and care coordination support. I'll turn it over to Kat. My name's Delight Miles. I'm a training specialist, but I'll turn it over to Kat to make some introductions for our special guests. And we're also joined by our training team. You can see Cassandra Lynch and Kara Thrasher Livingston. And Damon Silva is in here as well. So, Kat, what do you got to say? Who are you introducing as our special guest topic person?
Hello, everyone. So we have Kelly Griffin, who some of you may already know. Kelly is with Map Habit, and she has a really cool presentation for us of the pilot program. I think this is phase two, right, Kelly? Phase
Yes.
two pilot program. Some of you may have already heard about this or participated, but we're going to turn it over to Kelly, and she will, I don't know, hopefully you could share your screen, Kelly.
Okay.
We have about 30 minutes slated for this, so why don't we let Kelly do her presentation, and then we could go through the questions if you want to put them in the chat or hold on to them until we are ready to ask them. That would be great. So Kelly, take it away.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, everyone. Like Kat said, my name is Kelly Griffin. I'm with a company called Map Habit. Some of you may have heard about us. We did a pilot last year. It was a very small pilot. It was about 20 participants. And I know there were a few participants with you that were referrals from you guys. So thank you for those. But we're really excited to find out that we were approved just last month, early in the last month, for a expanded pilot with the Alaska Mental Health Trust Fund. So we're going to actually be looking at a pilot of 50 participants this time, and they are going to be. We're going to try to do both IDD and those with Alzheimer's and related disorders. So I know that you guys cover pretty much all of those areas. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Map Habit, but a little bit about the pilot. It's going to be a year-long pilot. We're going to start doing referrals in January. And like I said, we're going to have a landing page and some flyers. I'll show you a mock-up of one of the flyers we already have started that I'll be giving for you guys to hand out, tell a little bit about the pilot, and also so that people can either with your support or on their own refer themselves to this pilot program. So we're really excited. Like I said, we're going to have 20. Right now we're going to have about 20 IDD population, 20 of the Alzheimer's and related disorders population, and then we're going to keep about 10 for people with traumatic brain injury as well. So if you have anybody in mind as you go through, I'm going to give you my contact information at the end, but also I'll be giving Kat the information, the flyers, as soon as we get the landing page up and running, because I don't want to give you the flyers without the landing page up and running, because if you refer somebody, it's not going to go anywhere, and I don't want that to happen. So some of you may know a little bit about Map Habit, so I'm not going to go into extreme detail, but let me share my screen. This is always the fun part. See if I can do this in the first try. Okay. So while that's coming up, a little bit about me. I'm from the state of Missouri. I worked for the state of Missouri Division of Developmental Disabilities for about 20 years. And through that time, I was a care coordinator, I was a supervisor, and I was also provider relations. So I know a little bit about the waiver systems and things like that. And we're hopeful as we do more and more pilots with Map Habit that we can work really closely with you guys and your administration to really get something like Map Habit or other enabling technologies put in the waiver, so that these can be things that people can get with their waiver dollars as well. So I'm just going to start the slideshow. I'm not going to do the whole thing because some of you may have already seen this, but a little bit about Map Habit. We are a application. This is going to make me go through the entire one. Okay, so we were an application developed by our founder and co-founder to support individuals initially with Alzheimer's and related disorders, to help them stay as independent as possible as they progress in their disease. Then we also got connected with the LumeMind Association, and they study the effects of Alzheimer's and related disorders on individuals with Down syndrome, because most people with Down syndrome will develop dementia or Alzheimer's as they age. So we really got connected with them, and that's when we kind of started looking also in the IDDS space as well, because it's not new science, but it's that habit forming part of your brain. In Alzheimer's and dementia, that part of your brain is the last thing to go. So if we can build great habits as you're first diagnosed, then we can keep those as long as possible. And with IDD, it's not new science, because we know that people learn best if they take those big tasks, bring them into smaller tasks, and step-by-step instruction, task analysis, or what we used to call like, well, I can't think of the word right now, the stories, or PEC system, things like that. So what Map Habit really does, it works with the habit forming part of your brain. They can have, you create, there's maps in our system that you can use as is, or you can create your own customized maps, or you can have a little bit of both. And they will get the person will get notified when it's time to do that task, and it works them through the task as they go. So you're learning, you can incorporate video, audio, and pictures as well in every step of the way. And it's all on it can be on any Android or iOS device. Part of the pilot is the individuals will get our Map Habit device, which is a dedicated tablet that is data enabled on the back end, so that it should work anywhere a cell phone works. And we haven't yet had any issues with connectivity that I'm aware of in Alaska, since we have done the first pilot and we're working on the second pilot now. And we haven't really had any issues that I'm aware of connectivity issues with that. So you'll get that as well. So the content, when you first sign up for the pilot, you'll be connected with a Map Habit coach. They'll do a training with the individual and their caregiver or their primary support, to help them with learning how to use the app, and also working through creating and scheduling those first few maps. And then we will meet with them regularly and keep following up with them as we go. And that's pretty much the Map Habit system, but I'm gonna show you. And also you can invite as many people as you want to be part of your circle of supports to help with creating and scheduling those maps. So it doesn't necessarily have to just fall on the primary caregiver. If they have somebody else in their life, like a job coach or an OT, a PT, a classroom teacher that is also very involved in the individual, they can help with creating those and scheduling those maps as well. So I'm gonna go into the Map Habit system and just show you that within the system. This is more of the PowerPoint, but we can go back to that. Map Habit. So what you see here is our homepage, and little disclaimer, we are working towards a app redesign, which could possibly take place mid next year. So if people are in our pilot program, they may be able to be part of that, like working towards that app redesign to make it a little bit more dynamic and user-friendly for the individuals. So they maybe somebody might be asking like, hey, what do you think about this? Or things like that as they're in the pilot as well. So the concept is, Andy's our demo guy. He can quickly see on the Map Habit system what all he has to do today. So he can quickly see that in the morning he's gonna get up, he's gonna shave, he's gonna brush his teeth, he's gonna take his meds. Then he's got work, and then he's gonna come home, make dinner, and then he's gonna be done for the day. So all of these things are tied to a schedule. So he's gonna get a notification that comes across his screen when it's time to do that task. So he doesn't necessarily have to be sitting in the app all day long. He'll get a notification just like you get notifications on your cell phone or your tablet that say from different apps that say certain things. If he just clicks on that, it will go directly into what we call the map. And the map really is that task analysis, or that schedule, that
time to shave.
That
go to the next step to watch the overview video. You do not need to follow along yet.
Kat, can you hear?
The steps will be broken down on the slides following the video.
Yes,
okay. Just making sure, because sometimes I forget to share that part of it. So like I said, the maps can include video, they can include audio. So this is a video of an overview of a young man shaving his face. So what we've worked with like OTs and PTs on what the best way to create maps are. And what they said is that you do the overview of the entire process. So there's the video of the entire process. And then it breaks it down step by step. And then at the very
Turn
end,
on shaver.
there's another video of the entire process. So
Time
that
to shave
is
mustache. Press
one of the maps that we have curated and used. We also have maps on like taking meds, toothbrushing. So that's the screen that people are going to see when they first come into the app. We also have little reports. We're working on making those more dynamic. But really right now, the reports is how often somebody uses the maps, how often they've, if they've created maps, things like that. We have the reports embedded. And then because this is going to be a pilot and it's going to be a bigger pilot, we're going to have actually its own, we're going to have on our landing page, but we're also going to have some analytics that we'll have separately to keep track of on that as well, that people can have access to as well. So that's the home page. And then under maps is where the individual will have their maps, but then they can also browse all maps. And when we browse all maps, we're looking at things. Right now, they're broken down between people with Alzheimer's dementia-related disorder, people with Alzheimer's that need more support. So there's ones that are more people that are more independent, and then ones that are needing more support. And then we have those with IDD, neurodiversity, and traumatic brain injury. So we have maps kind of that way, but they're divided about like activities of daily living, community, dental engagement. We have a lot of dental maps in here. We know that if people aren't working to keep their dental up, that could cause more issues in the long run, more health issues, and things like that. So we have a lot of dental maps, and we worked with a dental insurance company here in Kentucky that is really working on more dental exposure and dental exposure maps to get people with more acclimated to going to the dentist and being comfortable with sitting in the chair, getting those kind of procedures done. We also have maps that are related to fine motor and gross motor. And then we have some fun games as well. So we have a lot of things. We have a lot of maps already pre-created for people that they can use. If you look across all of our spaces, like the ADRD with support, and the IDD, Indian traumatic brain injury, we have a little over 1,000 maps that you can use as is. But we know that the most things that are going to work for many people is once they have those maps, then they can customize those maps. If you want to use our maps as is, that's great. But if you want to swap out this picture of this young man putting on deodorant, you can swap out a picture with the person, so that they don't have to transfer that picture to seeing themselves, so they can have seeing themselves do it. That's one of the things that Map Habit does. Also, you can create a map from scratch, and it really is user-friendly. Very much plug and play. You select images, you select who you want that map to be visible to. So there's lots of options in there. And then you just add a step. And so that's how you create maps from scratch. But we will go over, if somebody is in the pilot, we're going to do an extensive training with them. We're going to go over all these steps, show the individual or their support person how to do all this, so that they have all those skills that they need to do this. But we're also available. We're gonna be there initially, and then we're gonna be meeting and following up on a regular basis with the individuals as well. Schedule is just like it sounds. That's how you schedule the map, so they'll get the notifications. But the cool thing about the schedule is that you can select who gets that notification. So by default, the person's always going to get the notification. But if they need support in that activity initially, because you're working through getting them more independent in that, you can have somebody else get the notification at the same time so that they can work with them. Or once they get a little bit more independent, you can have it where they don't get a notification. The other person doesn't get a notification unless the person did not work through that map. And if they didn't, they'll get a notification, and then they can follow with the individual and say, hey, I see you didn't do this map. Let's do this now, or follow up and let's see what happened with that. So those are some options. And then connections, it really is The individual gets the system, but then they can invite as many people as they want, or many professionals or family members or respite providers as they want to be part of their connections. And these people are able to create and schedule maps for them. And they also are able to, well, they can have and they also are able to message each other within this app, and it's HIPAA compliant. And then the album is exactly what it sounds like. That's where we keep all of our pictures, audio, and video as you're working with curating, scheduling, creating maps. So that's the very quick and dirty version of Map Habit. The other thing, that if you're a caregiver, if you're working with somebody who's going to be working with several people using Map Habit, we would set you up with a support view, so that you don't have to you don't have to log into Kelly's account, then log into Kat's account, then log into John's account. You'll be connected on the back end. So when you log in, you can quickly see all the people you support. Now, these are all demo people, but you can quickly go to Jessica or Harold or Andy. We also are starting some like mindfulness exercises and doing some more global scheduling, where we can kind of start putting things into their Map Habit system as they're getting started. So there's not all just individually putting things in. So we're working on that as well. What else do I need to tell you? A little bit about the pilot. I'm gonna click out of here. Go back here. That's not what I wanted. Go back here. So like I said, all that, let's see. This is a little bit about the journey. Once you opt in to be part of a Map Habit, you're gonna get that initial intake questionnaire. And when I talked about, we're gonna have a flyer with the landing page, that initial questionnaire will be on the landing page. Then we would ship out the tablet, and there's also a kit that goes with fine motor and gross motor skills that will come with it. And then we'll do the member interview and or onboarding, so that we can get you trained on how to use the app, or the individual and their family or their support person trained on using the app, and also what initial maps we need to curate or bring into that account. And then we're going to do coaching calls, and then we're going to follow up with you. And part of being part in the pilot is we really would like to look at people that are going to be serious about using the app at least 2 to 3 times a week, you know, using at least one map for one skill, if that's toothbrushing, if that's medication compliance, or job skills, at least one or two maps that you can use every week, so that we can see that, because it's building skills and it's building habits. So if we're not doing it at least 1 or 2 times a week, if not more, we're not building those skills. So part of being the pilot is where we're going to ask the people to be a little bit more involved in the Map Habit app, but also if they're not getting what they need out of the Map Habit system, contacting us and making sure that we're really in communication with that. And then part of the other part of the pilot will really be giving us feedback, and also participating in any, like, if we send you a survey of like what your experience is, we expect that people respond to that. So it's really as far as like being part of the program or the pilot, it's not a lot of going to be a lot of work. It's what you put into it. It's what you put into the individual and or their caregiver put into helping with creating those maps and working those maps on a daily and weekly basis. So that's a little bit about the pilot and Map Habit itself. I'm gonna go back out of here, I think. Okay, so I'm gonna go to my files real quick. So this is what our flyer is gonna look like. We just haven't, so it's basically gonna be join the Map Habit pilot today, and a little bit about Map Habit. And then at the bottom, there's going to be a QR code and a link that they can go to sign up for the pilot program. And we'll cap the IDD population off at 20, and we'll cap the ADRD population off at 20, and then traumatic brain injury off at 10. So that's our plan. We do have separate flyers for IDD and traumatic brain injury and ADRD. But so I'll make sure that when I get those to Kat, I really explain which ones are which. They do say up here, but they're some of the IDD and the traumatic brain injury one are very similar. The ADRD one's a little bit different. So sometimes they look a little bit different, but I think that's our plan. What questions do you have for me? I'm gonna try to stop sharing, maybe. I don't know how to stop sharing, Kat.
I don't know how to tell you how to stop sharing.
Stop video?
There's a share button on the very bottom of the toolbar in Zoom. It's a green button. Oh, there you go.
I did it?
I got you. I did
Awesome, thank you.
it. Yeah, no worries. I took care of it for you.
Thank
That's what
Thank
I'm
you
trying to find
so much.
So what questions do you guys have for me? If you guys want to field questions or want to write it in the chat. Also, I will be, you can also reach out to me directly. My name, my email address is it's K Griffin, Griffon at maphabit.com. And I'll put that in there too. I think I can put it in the chat.
Oh, I can put it in the chat, Kelly. Can you maybe talk about how long this pilot's gonna be and if there's any cost associated with it?
The pilot itself will be starting January 1st and going until the end of the year. So the plan is for it to be a full year, and there is no cost associated for the individual. That's all being paid for through the grant through the Alaska Mental Health Trust, and we got a smaller grant from the Matsu Health Foundation. So the cost itself is being covered, so there's no cost for the individual.
Kelly, I have a question. Would it replace in-person help?
For me and for most, MapHabit is not, it's not telehealth, it's not remote monitoring. There's no two-way camera. It really is an enabling technology to support somebody in learning skills and being independent as possible in the home. Now, can we say that people are going to learn and be more independent, and maybe they're going to learn skills of so that they don't necessarily have to have paid support do those skills for them? Possibly, but I don't think it's going to ever replace staff. It will be a help for staff. So let's say if you're working in a group home or some sort of we call them supported living here in Missouri, independent supported living. So there's like 3 people living in a home with staff that come in. You may have somebody that is able to be more independent, so that staff can focus on people that have less, that have more support needs. But so then you might be able to get through like having 1 staff instead of 2 staff on a shift. But it's not meant to replace staff.
There are some questions in the
I
chat.
see what type of device is the program on, and would this be compatible with another communication program? So the device we have is an iPad. It comes with a strap, so it's basically like an 8x10 iPad. I don't know the actual dimensions. So it would be, and you ask if it can be compatible with another communication program. So that depends. If that communication program can be, if it's an app that you can download on the App Store, we might be able to put that on their MapHabit device, or vice versa, because MapHabit it's on any Android or iOS device. It's an app in the App Store. You can't go and purchase this off the App Store, but you have to download it off the App Store. So if you want it on your cell phone, or the person will get the device, but they can also have it on a cell phone, or their caregiver or their support partners can have it on their cell phones. So it's downloaded off any the Google Play Store or the iOS store. So if that device, the communication program, is on a device that allows you to add other apps, we could figure out how to do it that way, or vice versa if that system has an app. So yes and no. I mean, we've seen success with like Proloquo being able to work compatibly with them. It just depends on the device and what that is. What happens at the end of the pilot? Do the people involved get to keep their device, and can they continue to use the tech? So good question. If people are actively participating in the pilot, meaning that they're actually using the device on a regular basis, the device is theirs at the end of the pilot. We are working towards hopefully getting enabling tech added to the waiver system. So if somebody's in the waiver, they could possibly switch over to getting enabling tech and getting Map Habit that way at the end of the pilot. Also, I'm aware of that there's like the Mental Health Trust has mini grants. So you could also look at purchasing us through the mini grant. If you already have the device and it's at the end of the year, I think you can still look at stuff offline, but we won't be able to keep the app running. The device is yours. The app running would be, I think it's 6 months after the pilot is when it ends, but you would still have the device. And then we would look at other ways of funding Map Habit at that time. Is this being shared with school districts? Not yet. So if you guys have anybody in mind that I can work with, send them to me, because that would be great to work with school districts as well.
Before you go to the next question, let's take the question from Miss Abby Bingham. She has a question. Okay. Go ahead, Abby.
Hi. So I actually have seen this. A few of my clients did the pilot last year, I think, and it's a beautiful system. Loved it. There was one person didn't know how to lock the door when they went into the bathroom, and Map Habit was such a great way to teach them because the staff didn't have to go in with them. Mm-hmm. A barrier I do see, though, is it takes either a dedicated staff who's volunteering time to get it going or somebody to really head it up. And so just a thought that maybe an administrative cost for somebody to set the program up, because it's a wonderful system. It's just the motivation for the person to want to spend the extra time that they're not sitting directly with the client. Does that make sense?
I understand that. I think we've had a lot of success with families, because families are more invested. But when you get to direct support staff, not that they don't want to support their individuals, it's just that they may be stretched thin on time, and we're happy to help as much as possible. We are trying to alleviate some of that with maybe some more global scheduling, so that we can actually put in actual whole program instead of just map here and there, bringing that in. Yeah. We're trying to work on things like that as well to make it the in-app experience more well-rounded, so that when you do intake, you're doing things, but that's going to come with the app redesign too. So I do understand. So when you're looking at potential people to refer to the pilot, I would recommend that you look at people that either have a strong support staff that will work really closely with them, or a strong support partner like a parent or guardian that's working with them, just because I think that that's going to make it more successful. But not to say that if somebody is on their own, we're not going to try our best to get them up and running, and we'll work with them on creating and scheduling maps for them with them during onboarding, and then our check-ins and things like that as well.
Yes, the customer service with Map Habit was so fast and so great. Just kind of pushing that waiver line. I think it would really help if it was a billable service.
Oh yeah, definitely. Keep pushing it. We're pushing it on our end. You guys are pushing on your end.
So the next question is, what is the cost of using the app after the pilot?
After the pilot, right now, because you would have the device and everything else, it's $50 a month. But like I said, if you are familiar with the Alaska Mental Health Trust Fund, they have those mini grants that you could use until we can get into the waivers in Alaska. Those are probably the best way to do it. Right now, with the pilot program that year, there will be no cost. But then after the pilot ends, then that would be the only cost you'd have.
Are there any other questions?
Oh yeah, that's a good, Catherine. I saw that ABLE funds would work as well.
So Kelly, folks can email you once you have the flyers. We could email
Yes.
them out, and then they could reach out if they have specific
Yeah.
questions.
I'm anticipating probably next week. It's just I didn't want to give them out without the landing link really working, because I didn't want people to like get really super excited and be like, I'm gonna start handing them out tomorrow, and then people are like, oh, the link doesn't work.
And is this one of those you're gonna accept folks who are interested until you have met your quota for the people, or is
That's
it
the plan,
like
yeah.
a cutoff date? Okay.
There's not, at this point, there's not a cutoff date. And then like, we even talked about like if there's attrition, like for some reason, if somebody just doesn't like it at all, and we would ask them to bring the device back, or we send them a return label, and then we could give that to somebody else. So if you guys have any questions, I did put my email in there. I anticipate probably by the end of the week or early next week getting the information to Kat, just so the referrals. And like I said, it's for individuals with IDD, but also look at those people that are that may have a dementia diagnosis or an Alzheimer's diagnosis. And I will tell you, we have an entirely other team for them. So I'm not the most well-versed at dementia and Alzheimer's, but we have dementia specialists on our team that can work with those individuals. And they're very good at working with individuals that are, that may or may not have a lot of support. So.
Thank you so much, Kelly. Kat,
Thank
when
you.
you'll be able to send out these flyers in the email blast you usually do.
Yep.
So guys, you can forward that on. I see a lot of great suggestions about forwarding this on to teachers and therapists within your community. And I think that will be okay for you to do so that we can get robust piloting of people that
the sooner we can
wanna
get
try.
full up, that would be great, so that people can really have that full year experience of the pilot, because I'm excited to see what that looks like. I know you guys actually came in late to the pilot, and we had like 5 from, I think, you guys last year, because we didn't get you connected fast enough. So you guys didn't get the full year.
This is a really good group, Kelly. Care coordinators are super well versed in kind of, who needs what, not necessarily even the folks that they're working with, but just in the community. So I think, there's some good suggestions in the chat about the TABI program, and we have a connection with that program at SDS and school districts. I think once we have the flyers, I think this is going to get shared far and wide. I think,
Sounds great.
I think that'll be good. And thank you for coming and talking to us about it. If you want to stick around and listen to the rest of our info share, you can.
And I tried to convince Matt that I could come back to Alaska in the spring, and I don't know if he's going to let me go on a 3rd trip to Alaska.
You need to come back in the spring again. I know you came for your lives.
Yeah. So. All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a great day. Bye.
Thank you.
Okay, we still have about 25 minutes left. And I did attach the agenda in the chat, and if you cannot open it, I am so sorry. Let me try to find it again and open it. And
I have it if you want me to share my screen, if that would be helpful. I know Kara is able to speak to what's going on.
Yeah.
So folks, let me see
Sure.
let me know if you can see my screen. Can you see it? You seeing the agenda?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So the next one is about access to health care. We had some questions coming in from care coordinators and others about patient portals specifically. Many of our medical providers are developing or already have patient portals for their patients. And the feedback we've been getting is that people are told that they must use the portal or otherwise very highly encouraged to use the portal. So we're hearing that it's very difficult for some people to use them. Some people can use them, and some folks just have a lot of barriers. So they're using the medical providers are using an online patient portal for scheduling appointments, getting medical records, and getting medicine for the person to get this information. Um, some people can do it. There are barriers. They go from not having a device at all to not having a resource to understand it and help with interacting through the portal. So we brought this to our leadership and we learned a few things. One of the things we learned was under the ADA and revisions to Section 504 of the Social Security Act, which is always getting revised, but these are specifically related to access to health care. Medicaid medical providers must provide their patients with disabilities help to get their medical information. This means that they must provide paper documents on request, phone calls if the person, gets information that way easier, or somebody who helps them gets information easier on the phone, online communication like email, and help using the patient portal. So somebody should be able to get instructions or some kind of help to use the patient portal. So we're asking that if you are experiencing people they're being told that they must use the patient portal and efforts to get help from the medical provider telling them this are unsuccessful, to please report that to our central intake link or by phone to our central intake. And let us know what is happening with that so that we can sort of get an idea of what people are experiencing regarding their access to the patient portal. Patient portals are handy for the provider, but we want to make sure that people have access to them. So that being said, I'll take the third one too. Registration for our 2025 Series Care Coordinator monthly info shares. This is actually our last info share that we will have. You look for your email that says, keep this email. It serves as 1 hour CEH confirmation. We are moving to running this through our learning management system. So go to your account in our learning management system, the eThink site, and sign up for the Care Coordinator monthly info share. And we'll use the same Zoom link every time. We'll have the session, we'll record it, we'll put it on our YouTube. The differences here, there are a couple differences. It'll be pretty much the same ideas and concepts that we go through now, I have gone through for years now. But we also will be able to offer you a certificate, like a real certificate that you can download right from your account in the learning management system, the SDS Training Academy. Also, we're allowing folks who could not come to the session to view a recording of it for credit. So we'll have a system for that involving answering a few questions within the course inside the learning management system. And once you answer those questions, you can download the certificate of completion. So we did hear from care coordinators that they wished that they could access recordings for credit. So now you can, or you will be able to.
And you don't have to look for emails from you to use for your research. You'll have certificates that you could just keep and go back to and get. So that's great. Mm-hmm. I'm super excited.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. So let's give it a try. The Zoom session will be the same, nothing different about that. You'll just have to go in and register in that course. You'll have to sign up for the course in the SDS Training Academy. And the rest of it should be pretty easy. But if you can come to the session, definitely do. If you view the recording, you will also need to interact with it in the course to get the certificate. Okay? Okay. Do you want me to do number 4 too? Does anybody? We were talking about this.
Just as a reminder, I think.
Yeah. Okay. A reminder. Our info share for January is going to. We're not going to have one on January 7th. We're going to have a 2-hour CEH session colorectal cancer screening for Alaskans with IDD on the 9th. So it's 12 to 1:30. It will count as 2 hours of CEH. We're going to have a discussion with medical professionals and members of our medical community who are very interested in improving outcomes for people, especially living in our rural community. But Alaskans we serve experiencing IDD and getting colorectal cancer screenings when they need them. So the rate of colon cancer is very high in Alaska. So overall public health, and going back to our access to health care issue of number 2, we're trying to have a discussion with care coordinators and these medical professionals together so we can all learn better from each other about how to make this work better for people we serve, especially people living in our rural community. So register for it, please, if you can. Come with your ideas, get ready to talk and share, get ready to learn. It's a little bit different because it's really about a medical healthcare thing, but our medical community people who reached out via public health, they really felt that they wanted to talk with folks who were more involved with the community we serve, which would be our care coordinator population, just to start getting ideas and share some practical information about what might work. So that's what it is. It's like a brainstorming session, sort of, with some general shape to it. So please do sign up, and it will be great. All right, some comments about in the academy. Okay, we'll take care of that, and we're still getting our 2025 things ready. So don't worry about the academy part. We'll figure that out. We'll get rid of the January 7 and move it to the January 9th date. We'll let people know about that move on that for that session. Thank you. I've gotten a few clues today about people trying to sign up and it needed to be different. Okay. Thank you.
So we are through our agenda items. When we were preparing for this session, we had discussed about bringing up a topic that we touched base on at our provider info share last month. And we decided to hold it off because we thought we might run out of time, but we do have time. So Kat was saying, let's talk about it anyways. And were some of you in the provider info share? Some of you do attend. Maybe you've had some time to think about the topic since then. But what we discussed was approaching the holiday season in RSL settings and making sure, and it's true for anyone, doesn't have to be in an RSL setting, but talking about the holiday season and how it's so important to ensure that people are included and get choice in participating in holiday activities or choosing not to participate in them. I think that many of us, the holidays are so bright and festive, and there's a lot of joy and gift giving and merriment in them, but they're also very hard for folks because there's often elements of grief incorporated with holiday seasons based on various things that have happened in people's lives, of missing, of belonging. And so it's so important that as we go through this season that we do really offer choice and we utilize cultural curiosity as we explore the holiday season and finding out what traditions, traditional food, different activities that are important to people, and really ensuring that folks get to participate in those activities, that the cultural food activities, different traditions, and that's a part of their life. So I would like to challenge you during your contacts this month to explore some cultural curiosity and ask about what activities are important to your person this time of year, and asking them how they have a plan to participate in those activities. I would encourage you to do that, to get that and attempt, it may be that you're supporting that person to acknowledge that they don't want to participate in those activities. That's okay too. What we really want to do is just ensure that folks get support to choose the activities they want to participate in this time frame. The other topic that we discussed in the last session was about seasonal affective disorder. So that's because of our dark time frames, our dark time of year. And it's so important for everyone to get outside. And we also have to get enough vitamin D, to be active and have opportunities to explore healthy foods, in balance to our activities of the holiday season. So that's another thought to check in on folks and ask them how they're handling this time of year, because it is dark. And one of the side topics we brought up in that last chat was about safety and how there's a lot of barriers to getting outside when it's cold and dark, and some folks might have additional barriers to be able to participate in getting outside. Helping facilitate the conversation as a care coordinator to encourage a planning team to think about those safety dynamics of how can we get someone outside, how can we get them to be able to enjoy outdoor activities. Do we need to find reflective tape, like making sure our clothing's bright? Those kind of things are so important to ensure that folks are included and part of the vibrant activities that happen this time of year. And Kat is dropping some of the safety, like the safety reflective tape stuff into the chat, and that will be great. And then I'm seeing some other chats I might have missed. We get licensing involved about cultural topics, or should it go to the ombudsman? I think that putting in a CIR, it goes to licensing. So if something's happening that's giving you concern that our person-centered planning regulations are not being followed, which includes cultural, respecting someone's culture and their participation in that, then please file a CIR. We do want to respect folks' culture and their tradition and encourage them to participate in it, because that's how they build extensive natural supports and find fulfillment in connecting with their culture. So a couple of other, we're going to open the floor to other questions, but I did want to give you the opportunity to share any ideas or thoughts that you have about those two additional topics, about the holidays or about wintertime. I'm seeing some great things in the chat. There's a lot of little things that Alaskans do that other places do not. That's just for us to thrive in these conditions, like the happy lights or sad lights. Like I feel like people kind of describe them as both, getting that vitamin D, taking fish oil. But is there some tip that you have? And it can be from you personally, or you can share a success story of something that helped someone being PHI friendly. Yeah, a lot to think about.
Hey, Delight. So one of the questions, well, it wasn't a question, it was a statement showing, talking about January 7th is showing as a regular session. And we do have a new link that should be coming out to show that January 9th is the change from the 7th for our next schedule training. Thanks.
Thank you.
don't think there's any comments. There's a question in the chat, and Jacqueline will get back to you on it. Quite on topic, so not prepared to answer your question, but we can email you if we don't get to you before the end of the session.
Okay, well, seems like things are quieting down. I hope that you all have gotten a lot of great ideas for your folks today and conversation starters, both with map habits and with thinking about, practicing cultural curiosity and taking that step towards ensuring that checking in on one another this time of year and thinking about strategies for negotiating our darkest time of year. And we really look forward to working with you in 2025. Register in the Academy and register for this interesting CEH on colorectal cancer screenings. And finally, just remember that if your Alaskans are having difficulty interacting with their provider, that they have ADA rights, and we do want to hear about those kind of interactions, file a CAR. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you, everybody. This was a great session. We appreciate your collaboration and your comments. Just a reminder that we do have our office hours. So if you have case-specific things that you need to bring up, questions, we've seen a lot of questions in our chat that didn't really have a lot to do with the topic on hand, but obviously important questions that you need answered. We encourage you to email Kat or ststraining@alaska.gov or join us for our our weekly office hour. And look for our email that says keep this email, and you'll get credit for 1 hour CEH. And please check out our Academy for our series starting on the 9th with our colorectal cancer screening discussion. And we'll make sure that we have everybody receive their CEH from that one. If you come to the session, you'll get the 2 hour CEH. And yeah, so I'm excited about that. And we'll have this session recorded and posted on YouTube if people were not able to come today. And Happy New Year, everybody. I hope you have a great holiday. Stay warm, cozy, and thank you for all you do. We appreciate you very much here at SDS, Care Coordinator Liaison and Training Team. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go ahead and close our session for now. See you next time. Bye-bye.